now ringside for the anthem.
Canada, our home and native land, true patron love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Now, tonight's exclusive NHL broadcast.
Here he shoots and scores. Now it's Draisaitl along to Connor McDavid. Centers Kane for the hat trick. He scores.
All the action called by the voices who know the game inside and out.
This crowd explodes.
Bob Stauffer and Jack Michaels on the Oilers Radio Network.
4.5 months ago on May 20th, the Edmonton Oilers concluded a season-long pursuit of the Vancouver Canucks by beating Vancouver 3-2 in Game 7 to advance to the Western Conference Final. Now, 4.5 months later, decidedly less on the line. But nevertheless, the strain and tension from that 7-game series figures to mark this preseason finale. J.T. Miller making his preseason debut. Connor McDavid, somewhat surprisingly, playing a 5th preseason game. They'll line up for the opening draw. Referees Cody Beach and Graham Skilliter, Justin Johnson, Brandon Gulritz, and we're underway. The final game that won't count in the standings for 24-25. And it's whipped up ice, and a tip pass leads to an offside call against the Edmonton Oilers. 8 seconds gone by Brock Messer, who exploded to a 40-goal season, a career high a year ago. He'll send it in deep. And the Canucks right to left. They're in the diamond, barreling down the right-hand side. His wrist shot flicked away. Rebound grab by Soucy. Vancouver does have 6 of its top 7 scores from a year ago from that playoff series. Dressed tonight, Connor Garland, late scratch, but there has been turnover. Most notable addition up front, Edmonton's own Jake DeBrusk. Ty Emberson playing with Darnell Nurse for the first time in game competition tonight up the left-hand side, and Jeff Skinner will wheel it in deep. Oilers are 3-4 in the preseason. Vancouver 2-1 after a 3-2 shootout loss in Edmonton on Monday night. Emberson defending as he gets hit by Daniel Sprong. Bob will tell you how efficient Sprong has been in limited ice time over the last 2 years. Arvidsson in from the right-hand side. Beautiful feed. Interior, Jeff Skinner. He could not hook up left side with Brett Kulak, and the pass ends up in the corner. Quinn Hughes, only his 2nd preseason game for the reigning Norris Trophy winner, and now Skinner will handle a lob from Sprong and stick it in his hip pocket. 1:42 gone by first period. Bob, what has Daniel Sprong done with very little ice time over the last 2 years?
Well, he gets you double-digit goals wherever he goes, and then high double-digit goals. He can really shoot the puck, and there's some people that think he should be deployed as a shooter, just like Tovan and some people think in Seattle. This is a guy that can help you out in the power play because of the way he can rip it.
Played 12 minutes last. Smith, who had a lot of success against Edmonton. It was Sheloffs who led Vancouver past Nashville, and Tocchet never turned to DeSmith.
And DeSmith also had history with Patrick Alvin and Jim Rutherford from his time in Pittsburgh.
Pettersson against Nugent Hopkins, still 1:02 in the too-many men call, being served by Arshdeep Bains, who about 5 years ago, less than that actually, had a huge season for Red Deer. That was like 3 years ago.
Him and Ben King were unreal that year.
Yeah, 112 points, 40-plus goals.
He had a great year last year in the minors.
Shot from the point by Ekholm, knocked down. Second on their team in points. Here's Nurse with a shot. Top of the left circle, had it blocked. by Derek Forbert. Oilers, Victor Arvidsson controls. 25 seconds left on the power play. Here's Nurse. Arvidsson, one-timer Nurse, and a glove save made by Gelovs. 12:39 to go in the first. Just a quick side note on the Baines. Bob, he exploded from nowhere to have that huge season as an overage. Is that an example of a guy you got to pay really close attention? All right, is that just because he's playing against a bunch of 17-year-olds, or is there real pro potential there?
Obviously, the Canucks felt there was, and take a look at the numbers this past year in the American League. I was stunned he was at the rookie tournament. He had 55 points in 59 games in the AHL. We've never seen a player that pedigree out of the American League in that tournament all the years we went there.
And as you pointed out, it's not like he had done nothing the year before. He had 13 goals, 38 points.
Yeah.
So
strange.
It's an amazing 3-year sequence, because the 1 year in Red Deer, I think he was hurt, but it was a situation where, boy, he came out of nowhere. Huge season.
He always
as an overage.
He always had skill. And Red Deer is not a super offensive team.
Nurse off the length of the ice clear. Baines serving that too many men penalty, set to come out of the box. Corey Perry scoots across the line, but another failed power play for the Oilers, who are 1 for 7 this week, essentially with their top guys on the first 2 units. Brought to you by Atco Energy. Quinn Hughes staggers his way to center. Janmark had it poked away. Now Vinny Desharnais, 6'7", tries to muscle it up the middle. That was tipped away. Over to Quinn Hughes. And now Niels Höglander, who had 24 goals a year ago. Up the left-hand side, Janmark kicks it over to Stetcher. Janmark will carry the puck into the zone left to right. Top of the circle, he's hit by Myers and erased, and Sherwood will sling it up the right-hand side. A bit too far for Höglander, and grabbed by Stetcher, who, of course, cut his teeth as an NHLer in this Vancouver organization. Played 4 years here with the Canucks. Stetcher around Miller, and from center ice, he'll shovel it down deep. Shelov's out to handle it. Shelov's a 6th-round pick back in 2019, on no one's radar until late last season. Steal by Podkolzin, a backhander off the rush, a save made by Shelov's. And the Vancouver goalie able to cover as Podkolzin wrapped up with Carson Soucy. We've played nearly 9 minutes. Edmonton has 5 of the game, 6 shots on net, but is 0 for 2 on the power play. We return with more from our preseason finale. Rogers Arena in Vancouver. It brightened up late in the day. It's gorgeous right now. And this is Four Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network.
Did you know that there are 9 Napa Auto Parts stores serving the greater Edmonton area and have been doing so for more than 50 years? Since Napa first opened in Edmonton, the community has grown and vehicles have changed, but you can always trust Napa Auto Parts to provide you with the expert know-how and the best vehicle parts. And if that isn't enough, every time you visit a Napa Auto Parts store when you present your AMA card, you receive an additional 10% discount on all retail parts and accessories. Visit your local Napa Auto Parts store for more offers and expert know-how. Napa Auto Parts is a proud fan of the Edmonton Oilers.
RS Breakers and Controls, Canada's leader in new, used, tested, and obsolete circuit breakers, MCC buckets, bus plugs, and switches. They have everything you need to maintain your aging infrastructure, ensuring it operates as good as new. Their 24/7 emergency response gets you back up and running quickly, saving valuable time and money. Minimal generators or modifications needed, and like-for-like replacements mean no special inspections. Don't replace, repair your legacy equipment with RS. Visit rsbreakers.com.
Athletes know that to advance your career, you've got to be part of a winning team. So, what about you? Are you working for a winning team? Well, here's your chance to do just that. Brandt is a strong and stable industry leader with career opportunities across Canada. We have hundreds of positions available right now, from parts, sales, positioning technology, heavy-duty mechanics, and more. Be a part of a winning team. Earn your stripes by joining Brandt today. Find out more at BrandtJobs.com.
Listen on air, online, and on the Radio Player Canada app. This is the Oilers Radio Network.
Face off to the left of Shelov's. Philp centering Perry and Podkolzin for this offensive zone draw. And off the face-off, Forbert is able to work it ahead to Danton Heinen. Shoveled in by Brock Besser. JT Miller in hot pursuit, coming off a career-high 103-point season. Podkolzin turns off the dump in and cleared out. Darnell Nurse will shovel shovel it in from center. His second preseason game, made his debut in the 6-2 loss to Seattle. Here's a turnover, and Nurse ends up firing that puck that was tipped and sails out of play. 10:43 to go in the first period. That puck was wobbling a bit on edge. Yeah, you'd like... Well, it's a little...
Cut flattened out. You'd like a better shot.
Yeah.
Wow.
You don't think Forbert got a piece?
No.
He slid in there late. Ekholm and Bouchard defensively. McDavid centering Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. McDavid wins the draw cleanly to Shelov's right-hand side. Punishing hit delivered against Zach Hyman. He's able to shrug it off, protect the puck, checked by Hughes. Centering pass and a save made on Nugent Hopkins by Shelov. Somehow, McDavid able to thread it through. And now McDavid's got the puck back beneath the goal line. Checked first by Pettersson, then Roenick, and the puck eventually exits the zone. Elias Pettersson, 2 goals in his final 26 games last year. Jake DeBrusk. Pettersson centers a one-timer and a save made on that tip from Daniel Sprong. Stuart Skinner, a good read, and he was able to eat that up. It's only the second shot Vancouver's managed. 10:08 to play in the first period, and that's, lost in the Oilers' victory over Vancouver in 7 games was the fact that, Bob, in games 6 and 7, Edmonton permitted Vancouver just 32 shots on net. They really stifled the Vancouver attack.
Well, especially in game 7. At one point it was like 29-6, and unfortunately Ryan McLeod turned the puck over. It was 3-0 at that stage. The Oilers had complete control of the game, and that started a bit
They won the series, Bob.
Yes, they did.
Off the draw, Quinn Hughes shot it.
And I think the Oilers are going to miss Ryan McLeod's speed at times.
Here's a turnover. Opportunity for Baines, centering pass. Oman, a shot. A save made by Skinner. Big rebound. Baines to Hughes. A blast, and he scores. Quinn Hughes, 17 goals a year ago, making his preseason debut, the reigning Norris Trophy winner and the captain. Last one into the back of the net. He's asking Bluger if the latter might have gotten a piece of it. 1-0 Vancouver. Baines kicked it out. Hughes fired.
I don't think Bluger got it. But Vancouver has been the quicker. I know they've taken a couple penalties. And this is back to what we were briefly talking about McLeod. McLeod and Holloway and Fogle, the speed they gave Edmonton sort of in the middle six of their lineup. And Edmonton's got an older team going here, Jack. Again, it's just preseason.
Turnover by Soucy off an Edmonton dump in. Troy Stetcher able to wind it around. Well, just ask Buffalo. The Sabres went 5-1 in the preseason, and they were beaten in Prague today by New Jersey.
Who's going to be a better team than they were?
4-1, much better. Well, they've got goaltending.
And Hamilton's back.
Here's a drive by Soucy. That was tipped wide. Well, they had major injuries to their key players. I mean, they had Hughes and Meyer. I mean, they had a lot of guys miss significant time, and significant guys. Here's Draisaitl working his way through the neutral zone with a giveaway. Niels Höglander finding Kiefer Sherwood. He'll dump it in with 9 minutes to play in the first period. They're still looking at that goal. And they are going to announce it as Hughes' goal. Turnover Edmonton, meanwhile, and Besser rings a shot off the post, and that caromed off the inside of the right goalpost and sailed diagonally about 100 feet into the 12th row of the crowd on the near side of the arena. That was some kind of carom. 8:48 to go in the first period. For now, it's Hughes from Baines at 10:11 of this first period, and the Canucks have a 1-0 lead. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network.
Sportsnet Plus is your ultimate.
And then, as Bob mentioned, built a 3-0 lead with 10 minutes to go in Game 7. Had to hang on, won at 3-2. Nurse up the gut. That was tipped. Oilers a little out of sync, but Vancouver's offside coming over the line right to left. And Bob, in light of that 2-9-1 start this year, there can be a tendency to overemphasize any struggles in the preseason. How do you feel about the team right now?
I don't think they look fast. I think there's some other teams that they've played in the preseason that look quicker, and the only question is that going to translate into a regular season, or Edmonton's got an older veteran team, they'll know how to turn it up?
Ratu down the right-hand side from Tyler Myers off the neutral zone face-off. Here's Corey Perry directing a pass to Evan Bouchard. Absorbs the hit off to Matthias Ekholm. The Oilers a little bottled up in their own zone here the last couple shifts.
Puck up the ice.
Ekholm to Bouchard. He'll skate it through the middle to Corey Perry. Fed along to Podkolzin. Right circle wrist shot blocked by Soucy. Rebound Perry. Tried to sneak inside on Tyler Myers, who said no. Myers now in his 16th year and his 6th in Vancouver. Up the right-hand side, Sherwood will dump it in. It's hard to believe 6 in Vancouver. You feel like Myers was in Winnipeg yesterday. That's what happens, Bob, when we get old. Bouchard up the middle. Tipped away, Hughes.
I don't feel old.
Up to the red line.
I look old, but I don't feel old.
Hughes. Moving it for Roenick. Pedersen, well defended at the blue line by Stetcher. And now you've got Zach Hyman rolled in by Connor McDavid. Shilovs will leave it for Roenick. Poked along. Daniel Sprong cut off by Stetcher. A tip by Stetcher on Pedersen. Keeps it in for McDavid, and a one-timer ripped by Nugent Hopkins into the waiting pads of Shilovs with 6:27 to go in this first period. The shots are 9-4 Edmonton, but the score is 1-0 for the Canucks. Hughes from Oman and Baines halfway through this first period.
Do you think Edmonton's looked particularly quick? I mean, I'm
not so sure about the speed. I think, actually, who's looked a little faster to me is Adam Henrique.
Yeah.
Secondarily, I would say this, Bob. They don't look in sync. For me, it's a difference between quickness and pace. And right now, the Oilers look like a team that's still getting off the plane from Fort Lauderdale in the sense that they're not quite up to the pace they'd like to be. And I consider that a little different from speed. They haven't reset the dial just yet. And maybe that's to be expected. Draisaitl to Skinner, punched away. I'm not saying it's not a concern, because they're going to have to find it. Yeah, they're going to have to find it. Stetcher off a Vancouver dump hit. Looks for Jeff Skinner. Gets worked over in the corner by Hine and wrestled down. Draisaitl's there to bail him out. And now gathering steam is Brett Kulak. They'll chip it behind Desharnais. Forbert coming over to cut it off. Now, Dermott not in the lineup tonight, Bob. What exactly does that mean? Is he on the team?
I don't know. There's some that think he might have worked his way into the mix here to get himself a contract.
Janmark to Connor Brown, because remember, he was on a PTO. Josh Brown and Troy Stetcher are signed players. Chipped up the right-hand side. Lead pass, Soucy over the line, left wing. And a centering pass intended for Bluger, broken up by Nurse. Little spin move by Oman. Nurse got hurt in the Vancouver series. Blast by Myers, blocked up top. Good work by Janmark, and he and Brown come up ice for the Oilers. Janmark, stick snapped out of his hands, and Vancouver comes up with it. Oman with less than 5 minutes to play in this first period, and the Canucks on top 1-0. They'll play one another only 3 times this year. Twice in Vancouver. Second week of November and third week of January will be the games here at Rogers Arena. Hard hit on Hyman by Ratu as Edmonton tried to move into the offensive zone. Swiftly swung the other way by Quinn Hughes. Sherwood in against Matthias Ekholm. A couple of ex-Predators in on the forecheck and playing it hard. Hoglander. Interior pass intended for Sherwood, broken up, and now McDavid with a head of steam. Around Hoglander, spin move. Nugent Hopkins denied on the doorstep with Zach Hyman. Beautiful three-way passing play and a good read by Shilovs. Roenick up through center. The extra pass from Nugent Hopkins, but Shilovs was not fooled.
He's had a good first period. The Oilers have had some good chances.
4 minutes to play, first period. The Canucks bump it back into the Edmonton zone. It's a reset for Evan Bouchard. Noah Philp gathering steam. Instead, the pass goes right wing to Podkolzin. Centering pass, one-timer chipped over the net by Philp. A good look. And remember, he hit a post and was stopped late by Grubauer in that Seattle game. And that was another good look. And a nice feed from Vasily Podkolzin, who, Bob, I think has had a good first period.
He's been the best Oiler. Not even close.
would dearly love that back. 3:46 to go in the first. And a face-off right side of Shilov's. You know, it's interesting. All summer, of course, you know, before the offer sheets and things of that nature, you know, you were talking about maybe Fogle, maybe Holloway, guys that, you know, can be elevated up and down the lineup. For me, Colson is shaping up as a guy who might be able to move up at times if he's hot.
Let's face it, Jack, he's here to replace Holloway. That was right when the Oilers, when they acquired Colson for a fourth on the Sunday, and the belief here in Vancouver was he wasn't going to clear waivers if Vancouver thought that they had better players.
Off the draw, by the way, Vancouver guilty of icing. Oilers get another offensive zone draw.
And so that's, you know, Oilers made the trade on Sunday, and 2 days later informed St. Louis they wouldn't match on Holloway or Broberg.
Draisaitl won the face-off. Stetcher unable to get a shot through. Pettersson able to take over. He'll shuffle it back to Forbert up the right-hand side and quickly swatted out by Dave Sprong, and that'll make Rick Tocchet happy. That's always been the knock on Sprong, his defensive ability or lack thereof.
Stetcher's had a great period.
Up the right-hand side, Jake DeBrusk. Drop off for Pettersson, and that could be important. Finding Soucy, reach shot, score. Point blank, just above the hash marks, and he beats Stuart Skinner blocker side. 2-0 Vancouver, and it's a pair of defensemen with the first period goals for the Canucks. First Hughes, and now Soucy.
Sort of a slow developing play, and the Oilers got caught.
Soucy was wide open.
Not quite sure.
DeBrusk and Pettersson with the helpers. DeBrusk, by the way, had come in with 2 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, looks to be a bit of a miscommunication there. Arvidsson and Draisaitl as to who is supposed to be.
Carson Soucy, remember a couple years ago, scored 10 goals for Seattle. Backhander off the draw, set up again, and again the slot was open there. Skinner had to make a difficult save. Rebound cleared by Adam Henrique up the right-hand boards. Soucy to track it down. But I don't care who it is, Bob. You don't want to give up. Oh, Soucy just had his pocket picked. Janmark rolls in. He's offside.
He doesn't.
I don't think it was. Soucy thought Edmonton was tagging back up, and Janmark, I think, might have been thrown. Now makes another steal. This time tried to center for Connor Brown. Turned aside by Shilovs. That was interesting. Soucy, another turnover. He's having a rough shift after scoring that goal. Now finally lobs it back to center. Nurse will settle it down. Soucy the whole time thought Edmonton was tagging back up onside. And Janmark, as he should, plays to the echo of the whistle. And there was none forthcoming. Up the right-hand side, Omar. I'm not sure, Bob. I didn't catch it whether that was the correct non-call or call.
I thought it was offside, Jack.
Janmark certainly didn't care. Here's Hyman busting down the right-hand side for the Oilers, trailing 2-0. Drop off for McDavid, and now Bouchard across to Ekholm. A brief bobble, and then down low. Roenick defending Hyman. Comes up with a puck. Battled for, controlled by Nugent Hopkins. Work behind the net, Quinn Hughes. He turns it over. Bad turnover. Hyman, though, stripped from behind. And again, the Oiler fiber twitch maybe not there. Off the turnover, there wasn't that immediacy. And the Canucks are able to strip and get a clear back down the ice. Here's Ekholm. Up the middle. Ratu broke it up with 70 seconds to go in the period. High flip from Sherwood, but there's a mistake by the Canucks as Sherwood needed to take one more stride. Instead, it's an icing call against the Canucks with 1:06 to go in this first period. Quinn Hughes and Carson Soucy with the goals for the Vancouver Canucks. And Edmonton, its top personnel not as sharp as you'd normally see them. But Colson off the draw, tried to bust inside, cut off, another clear up the right wing boards by Sherwood, and this one popped out of play inadvertently by Kulak with 1 minute to go in this first period, and the Vancouver Canucks leading by a score of 2-0. Time for one final break from Rogers Arena in Vancouver, British Columbia. Final game of the preseason for both clubs and a rematch of last year's round 2 matchup. Thus far, it's Vancouver 2, Edmonton no score, and this is 14 the Oilers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. 4-4 to close it out. Vancouver is split with Seattle and Calgary. Lost a shootout in Edmonton on Monday and has a 2-0 lead here in the final minute of the first period. Jack Michaels, Bob Stauffer with you, our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. Final game ever on 6:30. We'll be on 880 CHED. We're on 880 right now, but we'll be on 880 CHED as we move through the regular season. First month, Cam Moon and Bob Stauffer working exclusively for you on the flagship home of the Oilers Radio Network. Edmonton bangs it in deep. Perry a drive-by, taken away by Daniel Sprong. Here come the Canucks right to left. Timing of the play disrupted. Sprong, Pedersen, and DeBrusk have to back off, and now cleared by Kulak up the middle for Corey Perry. He'll back off with 15 seconds. First period goals, Hughes and Soucy for Vancouver. Here's Draisaitl trying to get Edmonton on the board before the break. He'll lug it in deep. Myers left it for Miller. Bad turnover. Here's an opening, and Draisaitl banged it off the side of the net, and then a splayed out Shelovs was able to cover at the horn. A dreadful turnover by Miller. Perry with a brilliant no-look feed, finding Draisaitl at the side of the net, but from a tough angle. For most, this usually one that Draisaitl feasts on. He banged it off the side of the net, and then with Shelovs back to him, put it right underneath his left leg at the horn. So Vancouver's lead remains intact at 2-0 after one. Shots on goal, at least at this point, officially 9-6 for the Oilers. Two failed power plays for Edmonton. Bob, your 20 minutes synopsis.
Well, let's hope there's only 40 more minutes of this, because it's clear that we're watching a team with some players that I don't think they're necessarily at the highest engagement level, and I know it's supposed to be a dress rehearsal, but it might be a night where some of the understudies of the guys we noticed the most. Setcher on defense, I've liked him, and I haven't minded
put goals in front,
and that's about it. I'll say this: Phil Podkolzin and Perry have at least been noticeable. They played a north-south game. Connor's skating a bit. Nugent had two pretty good looks, but nonetheless, Edmonton down 2-0, and the second goal against was a bad one.
Now, Stetcher, you mentioned his showing in the first period.
Yeah.
A lot of people conceded the idea that it might have been Brown in the opening night lineup. Is there still,
for me, it's Stetcher.
Some movement?
It's that simple. Stetcher.
Okay. Ahead of Dermott and Brown.
Yes.
There you go. With a record of 49, 27, and 6. And the other year they won 50 games. It's a situation where the Oilers have dominated the Pacific Division. Last year they were 18-8, and 4 of those 8 losses were to Vancouver. The last 3 years inside the division, the Oilers 58-19-1. And Bob, I mean, you got to lean on that recipe a little bit, because you start looking at the winning percentage against everyone else, and it's not nearly as gaudy. So the Oilers, having feasted on division opponents the last 3 years, one would think that would be instrumental to success this year.
Just have a better start to the year. That's all I have to say.
Well, the bar won't be that high. Zach Hyman off the draw, tumbles in from the left-hand side, tried to hit Nugent Hopkins. That off-balance pass picked off and sent in deep by J.T. Miller. Banged it off the boards and centers, and that was clubbed wide by Brock Besser. May have been tipped by Hyman. And Quinn Hughes back to collect in his own zone for the Vancouver Canucks. He has one of the 2 goals tonight. Carson Soucy with the other. From Irma, Alberta. Here's Draisaitl. Off to Ekholm. Bob, you did a summer charity function up there this year, did you?
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Arvidsson. Draisaitl. Centering pass a little behind Nugent Hopkins at the tail end of his shift. Now Pedersen will get it back from Sprong in over the line, looking for DeBrusk. That was off the mark. Jake DeBrusk, twice a 27-goal scorer. He's got a 25-goal season on his resume and 2 other 19-goal campaigns, including last year in his 7-year tenure with Boston. Emberson for Edmonton up the left-hand side. The hope is giving Pedersen someone to play with will help both players. Skinner up the left wing boards for Draisaitl. Now a shot hooked wide by Arvidsson. And too much draw on that one. Nurse tried desperately to hold the zone. Jeff Skinner playing a little defense and doing it well against Niels Höglander. Puck back beneath the goal line. Höglander and Sherwood trade the puck. Broken up by an aggressive move from Darnell Nurse, making his second preseason appearance. He did not hit the red line, however, and that unforced error leads to an icing call. 2 minutes gone by in this second period. First period shots on net 9-6 Edmonton, but it's 2-0 Vancouver.
Yeah, it's been a tough go here for the Oilers, and you hit on something, Jack. Clearly the Oilers don't have quite as fast a set of forwards, but more importantly, they are not playing fast right now. They do not look crisp in any way, shape, or form.
Draisaitl bearing down on Teddy Bluger.
And what's interesting is they have run pretty much the same lines in practice.
Oh, yeah, they've had enough time to get it together, you'd think. I mean, again, McDavid playing his 5th preseason game. Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl, their 4th. Ekholm and Bouchard, same thing. I mean, so it's not like they haven't gotten their top guys enough reps to get back into the flow of things. Just hasn't come yet. And again, it's the preseason. Records seem to not really matter that much. Mattias Janmark in the left corner for the Oilers, working the cycle with his line mates Henrique and Connor Brown, who lets it go through to Troy Stecher. Turned over, Forbert tries to muscle up the left-hand side for Oman. Could not do it. Janmark kept it beneath the goal line. Connor Brown has had a pretty good preseason. Flicked it out. Stecher, good look. Janmark, centering pass, and that hit Adam Henrique and sailed out of the zone. Cleared safely by Bluger inside the Oiler blue line. Corralled by Stecher with 3 minutes gone by in this second period. Höglander off a turnover. Dishing off to Myers. A shot and a save made by Skinner. As Vancouver was looking for its 3rd goal from a D-man tonight. Corey Perry getting worked over in the corner. Down to one knee. Unable to clear. Myers steps up. Shoots again. This one hits Stecher. Rebound Höglander. Checked by Perry. Stecher on the puck. He'll chip it over to Brett Kulak. Wires it up the middle. And Soucy broke that one up. Intended for Janmark. Eventually sends Sherwood into the zone. He'll backhand to the long end boards. Janmark takes a peek. Covered up by Höglander in Vancouver. Able to come up with a loose puck. Besser across to Soucy. Left circle. Wrist shot save up near the clavicle by Stuart Skinner on his right-hand side. We've got a 2-0 game on our hands. 16:06 to play second period. We're live from our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth.
Yeah, it's been a quiet hockey game. There's really no other way to say it for Edmonton. They're looking for something here. Anything to sort of turn their fortunes around, Jack. Now, but Colson's been good, but Janmark took a lengthy shift, couldn't get off the ice for the change.
Well, and again, were it not for the 2-9-1 start last year, Bob, I think you and I would be inclined to shrug this off. Off the draw, right to the net. I mean, Hughes virtually unchallenged, a backhander short side, and Skinner makes the save. Would you say, were it not for the start, you and I would probably be, well, it's early, it's preseason, doesn't matter. But because 2-9-1 happened last year, it seems like there's more urgency to find your game a little quicker.
At no point, though, did we think in the preseason that 2-9-1 was going to be how things rolled early.
Even a possibility.
Right.
No.
And saying that, once they made the coaching change to Chris Knobloch, I don't think anybody thought 24-3 was going to be a possibility over a 27-game stretch.
McDavid from Hyman shoveled back to Mattias Ekholm. High slot. Bouchard lets one fly as the Oilers enter the zone. Then sailed over the net off the plexiglass. Cleared by J.T. Miller up to Brock Besser for Vancouver. And it's chipped behind the Edmonton defense. Recovered by Mattias Ekholm. He'll take a token check from Heinen. Move it up the right-hand side for Bouchard. And now McDavid against Daniel Sprong. Works his way through the neutral zone. Gives to Nugent Hopkins. Cross ice Hyman. Back to McDavid. On to Nugent Hopkins. Backhander and a save made by Shilovs. And he'll freeze it with 15-17 to go in the second period. And Vancouver still leading by a score of 2-0.
Oh, that's not much going on right now for Edmonton, Jack. Had a couple power plays early. really didn't look super smooth in the process on him.
Draisaitl between Skinner and Arvidsson. Wins the faceoff back to Darnell Nurse. Across to Emberson. Draisaitl inside Arvidsson. Couldn't get a shot away. And the Canucks kick it around a bit in the slot. And then it's pitchforked out of the zone. Back to center. Settled on one bounce by Emberson. Pettersson had the clear. Arvidsson with the puck for Edmonton. And now a reload for Jeff Skinner. 24 goals last year, his final season in Buffalo. He's played 1,006 games, never reached the postseason. Most in NHL history. Nurse to Emberson, fired on net. A save made by Shelovs, and the rebound fired wide by Arvidsson. But Emberson with a good look there. Cleared by the Canucks, back towards center. Emberson put it in, and that will be an icing call whistled against Edmonton. 5.5 gone by second period. Arvidsson nearly prone on the ice, being covered by Vinny Desharnais on that rebound, but a good-looking shot from Emberson.
Well, I think Arvidsson has clearly been the better of the two wingers with Leon Draisaitl. Jeff Skinner's trying to still find his game. And Skinner does some odd things. I mean, he's got unbelievable lateral movement, but sometimes there's some... He's a little east-west and not always north-south, Jack.
I think because he played in Nashville and then for an L.A. club that kind of stunted offensive numbers as well. You forget, I mean, Victor Arvidsson, one year he scored 34 goals in 58 games. He can be an explosive offensive player. Quinn Hughes. Off. Waiting. Roenick was tripped. That's going to be first penalty tonight called against the Oilers as Roenick hauled down. Bluger gives way to Niels Oman. Kulak comes over, and in the far corner, the whistle sounds with exactly 6 minutes gone by in this second period. And the Vancouver Canucks, for the first time tonight, will be on the power play as Matthias Janmark whistled for a trip. So will we see Noah Philp here with Derek Ryan to start the PK? Well, Derek Ryan isn't in the game. Noah Philp with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Would they go with that, or would they go with Henrique and RNH? Nugent-Hopkins is out there right now with Adam Henrique. Nurse and Emberson on the PK, brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. JT Miller lining up against Henrique. Won the face-off cleanly. Hughes, Pettersson, right circle, waiting, loading, dishing, back to Hughes. Now Miller. Hughes. Miller, top of the left circle. Emberson on that side defending. Henrique puts the pressure on and forced Miller into a bad pass. That was a good play by Adam Henrique. Perhaps recognizing Miller's first taste of game action. He has not played in the preseason yet. Lead pass, Miller. Back into the offensive zone. Crosses to Besser. Wrist shot save made by Skinner. Maybe his best of the night. And a neat backhanded clear by Arvidsson finds Darnell Nurse for a length of the ice delivery that Shelovs waves into the corner for Hughes.
Arvidsson didn't do a lot of killing in L.A., but he did kill penalties in Nashville.
Hughes around Connor Brown. Defending that line is Arvidsson. Miller across. That was soccered toward the net. Off of Skinner's pads and quickly fired up the right-hand side and out by Connor Brown. It was so instrumental in closing out Dallas in Game 6 with two key clears. And Brown feels like he's ready for a good start to this year and maybe a return to previous offensive form. Daniel Sprong in over the line. Gives it up. Baines. Remember, Brown and Janmark only had 4 goals all year last year. Ryan had 5. And the numbers would suggest maybe those 3 players are due for a bounce back to more in the 9 to 12 range. It's not like everyone on Edmonton had career years last year. Principally Hyman. Up the left-hand side. Still battling Nugent-Hopkins on the penalty kill, which is down to 20 seconds. Roenick right point, well defended by Podkolzin, who then throws his body into Baines. Roenick across to Daniel Sprong, but Vancouver running out of time. Quick feed, backdoor, and Baines scores, set up by Hyman. 10 seconds left in the power play, and it's 3-0 Vancouver. Baines, his second power play goal this week against Edmonton. He scored one on Monday night as well.
And from almost the identical spot, Jack. And he's got the ability, he's got that trigger, he's got an offensive dimension to him, no question.
Good look from Hyman. Second second of the preseason for Baines, and Danton Heinen with a beautiful feed across the seam.
So, but Colton was surprisingly physical on a PK. Sometimes you don't see guys finishing checks in the penalty kill. And the Oilers got caught running around towards the end of a kill when the Canucks made 2 or 3 good passes and it ended up in the net.
Nurse, Emberson up the right-hand side. Zach Hyman tapped in. And now off this PK, we see McDavid and Draisaitl together for the first time tonight. This time with Zach Hyman. Emberson, right-hand side. Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman. Nurse had to go off his stick. Soucy will locate the puck, find Niels Omon, and a chip ahead for Kiefer Sherwood. A shot off the rush. That sailed wide. Rebound taken by Emberson. Heinen and Höglander with the assists on Baines' power play goal, and now this puck covered by the Edmonton netminder as Nurse jostles a bit with Kiefer Sherwood. We played 8.5 minutes in this second period, and Vancouver has extended the lead to 3-0 on a power play goal by Arshdeep Baines. We'll be right back to Rogers Arena in Vancouver with more live play-by-play of the preseason finale. It's Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network.
It's
Hughes and Soucy and a power play goal for Arshdeep Baines moments ago. And it's 3-0. Podkolzin, Philp, and Perry on. And Philp from the left corner tried to feather one inside to Perry. Miller took Podkolzin off his feet on the half wall. And now Vinny Desharnais engaged with Perry up the left-hand side. Bouchard did well to hold the zone. Eventually snaked out to Miller. And here come the Canucks left to right. Heinen. His line mates, Besser and Miller. What an opportunity for Danton Heinen. And a good finishing hit by Matthias Ekholm. Right side for Corey Perry protecting the puck, and eventually punches it back through the middle. Philip Hronek races over in front of the Edmonton bench. Wires a pass off target for Pettersson. He'll get another chance as it was given right back to him by Bouchard, who outplayed Quinn Hughes in that playoff series. 4 goals, 11 points. Hughes had no goals, 5 points in that 7-game series. Hughes a deserving Norris Trophy winner, but Bouchard reminding everyone that he's starting to crawl into that upper echelon. Jake DeBrusk to center ice for Elias Pettersson. He'll bang it back inside the Edmonton blue line for Troy Stecher. To Kulak up the right-hand side. Draisaitl denied at the line by DeBrusk, and who now takes a pass from Pettersson. Ambles his way over the line. Couldn't get a shot away. Tied up with Stecher, and now Kulak shovels ahead for Draisaitl. Now Skinner breaks out with McDavid. Skinner held it and then dumped it into the corner. Soucy got there ahead of McDavid, cleared up the left-hand side, a lunging play. Great play by Skinner lifting a stick, but then he couldn't get his shot through, and Myers was able to clear with ease. Emberson at the blue line for Edmonton as we hit the halfway point of this hockey game. 3-0 Vancouver. Darnell Nurse, a giveaway at the Vancouver line. Myers ahead for Baines. Pulls up, checked off the puck by Emberson, recovered, and flung it down low for Omon. That was knocked off his stick by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Lead pass was tipped.
Going to change the lines here, Jack.
Yep. Nugent-Hopkins currently skating with Hyman and Arvidsson.
Hyman on the left side.
And he's no stranger to the left side,
right.
Should be noted. Nugent-Hopkins off that dump in from Vancouver, and why not? Half a hockey game, Bob, to get a different look. Emberson up the right-hand side. Arvidsson will throw it left-hand side. Skinner, meanwhile, has moved to the left side with Draisaitl on the right. And then you've got Connor McDavid. Here's a big hit, and Nurse is going to get challenged here by Derek Forbort, who lands a quick punch. Nurse is trying to get himself set. Nurse a big hit. Forbort stepped up. 8:44 to go, second period. And a 3-0 hockey game on our hands. Forbort moved it up the left-hand side, and when Nurse landed a shot on Sherwood, Forbort jumped in, and now Vinny Desharnais is engaged. Sherwood being pried out. And now a helmet was pulled off. Ekholm still on a wrap-up situation. And we expected a little bite to this one.
Well, Nurse started it.
Adam Henrique was engaged significantly. Nurse and Sherwood still barking at one another.
Sherwood was
Nurse
chirping.
The hit on Sherwood.
Yeah, Sherwood was chirping Nurse in the first in front of the goal.
And we're going to sort this out and take time out. Likely coincidentals across the board. Nurse, Forbert, Henrique, Desharnais. 8:44 to play, second period. As they assess the penalty situation, we can tell you it's 3-0 Vancouver. Second period, Rogers Arena. And this is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the preseason finale. The Oilers Radio Network.
From your home to the ice rink, ATCO Energy is there. As the official energy...
As a musician, I'm drawn to the sounds of this great province. Whether it's the wind blowing down the Rockies, the rustling of grass across the prairie, or the sweet sound of a Ford Super Duty, it's all music to my ears. Speaking of Super Duty, with heavy-duty performance that's built for getting the job done right, it's no wonder this truck has Albertans singing its praises. The 2024 Ford Super Duty is available now at your Alberta Ford dealer. Just head on in today and tell them PB sent you.
It's crunch time for your taste buds. Because for a limited time, A&W is collabing with Ruffles to bring you the Ruffle Crunch Teen Burger. Your favorite teen burger and your favorite Ruffles cheddar and sour cream chips combined into one unique taste sensation. It's grass-fed beef. It's one-of-a-kind ridges and crunch. Try it in all its teen burger glory, or crunch into its equally tasty sidekick, the Ruffles Crunch Buddy Burger for just $4.99. Try one today at your neighborhood A&W.
All games, all seasons. You're listening to the Oilers Radio Network.
3-0 hockey game in favor of Vancouver. Hughes and Soucy in the first, Baines here in the second. Slew of penalties coming. And at this particular point in time, Nurse might be getting the extra two. This may be a Vancouver power play when they finish sorting all this out. Nugent Hopkins and Philp out there penalty killing wise. Brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, Kulak and Stetcher. Nugent Hopkins, by the way, Bob, his racehorse, Infinite Patience, a heavy favorite in a $100,000 stakes race called the Ballerina here tomorrow at Hastings. And that will be the final race of her career. She's looking for a third straight victory in that race. Off the draw, Pedersen is shot, and a kick save made by Skinner. Miller, Pedersen gets it back. One-timer ripped and a save made by Brett Kulak, who looks none the worse for wear as he clears up the left-hand side. Hughes up through center. Besser trading the puck with DeBrusk. Infinite Patience also could be described to examine the inner workings of Bob and I's relationship.
Which way?
Both sides, I think. Here's Hughes against Connor Brown. Moving it back to Besser. Nice read by Arvidsson at the blue line. Did not exit the zone, though. Hughes, Pedersen, Miller inside. One-timer to save on DeBrusk by goaltender Stuart Skinner. And now we've got a penalty against Vancouver. It will be a holding the stick call. And I think Brock Besser will be the guilty party. So that will do it for Vancouver's power play. We'll be skating 4-on-4 for the next minute, 8 seconds, and then Edmonton will get an abbreviated opportunity to man advantage. 7:52 to play in period 2. 3-0 Vancouver.
Maybe Skinner's best save of the entire game.
So he stopped Jake DeBrusk in the slot. DeBrusk signing a 7-year deal in the offseason with the Vancouver Canucks. And again, thought process behind it, giving Elias Pettersson a weapon to play with. Off the draw, Bouchard down the slot, shoots and scores. And Edmonton's on the board. Vancouver let Bouchard walk right in. And from the top of the circles, he lasers one home to cut to 3-1. Scored 18 times a year ago and buried it past Sheloves.
Well, it was a face-off win by Arvidsson, who is a righty.
And then no one rotated over to take Bouchard, and he skated almost to the hash mark.
And that's the wrong guy to give time and space to. I mean, he can rifle when he winds up a cannonading drive, but there was a silky smoothness to that one.
Okay, I got the first one was Danny Galvin. Is the second one a Stauffer special or what?
No. I just had some fun with it.
Off the draw, here's Ekholm to Arvidsson. And his wrist shot glanced off the blocker of goaltender Artur Shilovs. Canucks still 4-on-4 here. So off a turnover by Ratu, it's Ekholm up to Arvidsson. He's stymied as he hit the Vancouver line, and now Bouchard will take a walk. Perhaps not recognizing there's still a healthy half minute in Nurse's penalty. Nugent Hopkins,
got out here
lead pass back to Bouchard across. One-timer, Draisaitl on that. Ends up out of play with 7:07 to go in the second period, and the Oilers still 23 seconds away from this power play. But yeah, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, and Draisaitl pour in 4-on-4. Arvidsson, as Bob mentioned, with the assist, the primary helper on the face-off win, and then Bouchard just strolled.
I haven't
just above the hash marks.
Arvidsson's been fine in preseason. He was really good. I watched the first period and a half of the game in Calgary, the one I didn't broadcast because there was a split squad that game. I thought it was him and Matt Savoy were Edmonton's two best forwards in that game in Calgary that night.
Well, Arvidsson, remember, I mean, he should have a lot of tread on the tire. Just 18 regular season games a year ago. Injured for much of the year in L.A. Came in for the playoffs, managed 3 assists in LA's 5-game loss to Edmonton. Here's Stetcher, still 4-on-4, moving it to Brett Kulak. McDavid and Draisaitl, the other skaters on. Stetcher across, Kulak off balance, one-timer to save made by Shilovs. Now the power play into effect. Here comes Darnell Nurse out of the box as Pedersen broke up a pass from Kulak. Nurse skates straight to the bench, and hopping on is Zach Hyman. Stetcher challenging Miller, poked in by Pedersen. And now Stetcher and Kulak will be replaced by Bouchard and Nugent Hopkins. McDavid, the quarterback, down the middle, and he's drawn a penalty. Hughes reached out, tugged him down.
He's called
Are they going to go one each way here?
Now this
a trip for Hughes.
It's Connor's
and did
going to
they give McDavid embellishment?
Yes, they did.
I'm not sure. Has Connor McDavid been whistled for an embellishment penalty in the regular season?
No.
I don't remember one.
Wow, they only called the one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't see it. He did kind of give the look. But no, this is a 5-on-3, and all of a sudden the Oilers
got to win the draw.
Can tie this hockey game with a couple of power play goals. I don't think McDavid's ever been whistled for an embellishment penalty.
He's not that player.
Draisaitl will line up for the face-off. McDavid and Hyman to his right. Nugent Hopkins on the left half boards, and Bouchard top of the left circle. Face-off win for Draisaitl. Bouchard with 20 seconds on the 5-on-3. He'll move to McDavid. This is an Atco power play with the Oilers trailing 3-1. Nugent Hopkins centered. Good play by Shilovs. He got it with his goalie stick, and that allowed Roenick to rifle it down the ice.
This group has been too passive in their attack, right?
Skinner to Bouchard. That hopped over the stick of Draisaitl. He's tied up by Myers, and another length of the ice clear from Roenick, and that will erase the penalty to Besser. So now you're down to 5-on-4 with Hughes still in the box. Oman has come out. McDavid bursts the speed down the right-hand side, gives it up for Draisaitl across the line. Nugent Hopkins left circle. Draisaitl threw it across. Pedersen with the read. Hacked down low by Bouchard and then tossed out rather easily by Forbert. 5:25 to go in the period and a minute left on this Atco power play with the Oilers trailing 3-1. Bouchard has gotten Edmonton on the board from this man, Victor Arvidsson. Second unit already out there. Nurse joining at the point. Will save it and send it across to Ekholm. Perry behind the net for Arvidsson. Skinner, a net front presence. Nurse left point. He'll get it back from Arvidsson, throw it across to Ekholm. Back to Nurse. 10 goals a year ago. Off to Ekholm. He had 11. Cross ice tip. Quick shot. Skinner save made point blank on the rebound for Arvidsson by Artur Shilovs. Some of his best work. And Arvidsson and Perry really digging in.
Yeah.
Perry denied by Shilovs. And I think he actually gave an appreciative pat on the pads, recognizing that Chilov's made a fine save on him. Nugent Hopkins on the previous play tried to thread it through, and Chilov's broke that one up with a poke check. Now 33 seconds remain on the power play, and the second unit stays out. Skinner will take the draw between Perry and Arvidsson. He's on his strong side. Arvidsson, if it was in the right circle, would take it. Skinner won the draw, poked it back to Bouchard. Then sets a screen for him. Wow. Bouchard left point against JT Miller. Throws it across. Ekholm to Arvidsson. Cross ice to Ekholm. Power play inside 15 seconds. Desharnais up the boards, but not out. Arvidsson, top of the left circle, net front, and turning and firing into a crowd was Skinner, but that was deflected harmlessly out of play by Forbert. With just 10 seconds left in the penalty to Hughes and 4:27 to go in this second period, with Vancouver holding a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, I've liked Arvidsson, and I've liked Colson for the Oilers forwards.
Arvidsson, Henrique, and Skinner now. Henrique getting the final 10 seconds here. Bouchard and Ekholm still the deep pair. Edmonton has outshot Vancouver tonight 19-15. 10-9 in this second period, but trails 3-1. Off the draw, Ekholm laid it off. Bouchard blasted wide. Rebound to Skinner. Around Soucy. Henrique touched back to Ekholm. Hughes is out of the box. Arvidsson inside, and Skinner misfires from the slot. That's going to be cleared by Oman. And Vancouver escapes a 25-second two-man advantage and another full power play. Now stepping on the puck, Adam Henrique fell down, emerging from his own end. Roenick takes over at center ice for Vancouver, and it's shot in by Teddy Bluger. Turned over by Baines. But Colson unable to get around Roenick. Now with some pressure on Quinn Hughes. 3:45 to go in the second period. That's launched down the middle. Settled by Stuart Skinner of Edmonton. Eventually sends it up for Ekholm. And he'll hoist it inside the Vancouver line. Stuart Skinner telling me in the offseason worked on his skating. Wanted to be explosive yet under control, and an icing call whistled against Elias Pettersson tonight. He has stopped 13 of 16, coming off a 36-win season, and then he went 14-9 in the postseason. The only game he didn't account for in terms of the win column was Game 4 of the second-round series against Vancouver. That was won by Calvin Pickard, who, by the way, got banged up in the Seattle game preseason-wise. But he is okay and backing up tonight. Draisaitl off the draw, had it swung off a stick by Daniel Sprong. Back inside the Edmonton line, it's Ty Emberson. Skinner out there with McDavid and Draisaitl as Chris Knobloch has made a change 5-on-5, but an offside whistled against Edmonton coming over the line right to left. And we'll take one final break in this second period. 3:09 to play in the middle frame, and it's 3-1 for Vancouver. Evan Bouchard with the only Edmonton goal. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey. The Oilers Radio Network.
Oilers Hockey on 630 CHED and on the Radio Player Canada app.
3-1 hockey game in favor of Vancouver. McDavid centering Skinner and Draisaitl. And a face-off that ends up right in front of the Oiler bench. Bumped back to Emberson by Leon Draisaitl. Ty Emberson paired with Darnell Nurse. Jack Michaels, Bob Stauffer with you. Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. Less than 3 minutes to go, second period. Vancouver led 2-0 after one. The teams have split a pair here in this second period. Bouchard the only goal for Edmonton. McDavid from behind the net tried a centering pass, tipped away from Emberson. But there's Leon Draisaitl on the puck for the Oilers. Stripped and lofted back the other way by Brock Besser. Emberson first on the puck. Draisaitl and McDavid have changed, or have not changed. Skinner did. So right now you've got Janmark out there with McDavid and Draisaitl. And it's nudged in by Vancouver. Sherwood has to recognize he's got a tag back onside. As he does, McDavid and Draisaitl will now depart the ice. And it's Emerson to Nurse. A tough pass. No chance for Henrique to get a stick on that rocket. And it turns into an icing call whistled against Edmonton. 2:05 to go in this second period. Bob, what kind of a read do you have on the Nurse-Emerson second pair? I mean, that's one that you and I did not have heading into the offseason, but that's likely what we're going to see on Wednesday night. What do you make of it?
Well, we obviously thought it was going to be Nurse and Broberg, but
what do you make of it?
Too early to tell. I mean, Darnell looks like a guy that's playing through a bit of an injury here, trying to get himself back up and running.
Philip Roenick from the right point. He'll send it down low to Atu Ratu. Nurse draped all over him. Sherwood kept it alive momentarily. Nurse eventually scooped out to Connor Brown, and it's cleared inside the Vancouver line. Wheeled ahead for Höglander. He's back into the offensive zone. Finds Bluger for a shot and tipped away by a sliding Darnell Nurse, showing the recovery time. Here's Roenick. Fires off the end boards. Big kick out. And Brown with a great read ahead for Janmark. Defended by Roenick. And Roenick played it so well that Janmark never got a shot away and was just spun into the ice. And Philip Roenick, a very serviceable running mate alongside Quinn Hughes. In my mind, no coincidence that Hughes had his best season with Roenick alongside. Up the left-hand side, it's Hughes. Working with Baines. Chopping at it is Teddy Bluger. And eventually forced in. But immediately punched out by Nugent Hopkins out there with Arvidsson and Hyman. Tossed by Hughes along the short glass up the right-hand side. And Oman able to punch it behind the Edmonton net as we go inside a minute to play in this second period. 3-1 for the Canucks. It's been a while since we've seen a shot on net. Still 19-16 for Edmonton. Canucks off an Oiler dump in, fail to get it out. Rifled wide from distance by Zach Hyman. He'll give it up for Nugent Hopkins. Back to the point. Bouchard a brief bobble, and that cost him territorial time.
What score is for the Edmonton Oilers?
Here is what I found.
What score is for the Edmonton Oilers?
With 15 seconds left in the second period, the Vancouver Canucks are beating the Edmonton Oilers 3-1.
Broken up by Bouchard and up the left wing boards and at the horn. Sprong hit his own man, and Elias Pettersson looks a bit shaken there. Sprong hit his own man, and Pettersson will just have to skate this one off at the horn. 3-1 Vancouver after two periods. The shots end up being 11-10 Canucks in that second period. Each team got a goal. Vancouver built a 3-0 lead. First period, even strength goals from Hughes and Soucy. And then Baines got one on the power play to make it 3-0. Bouchard scored in a 4-on-4 situation from Arvidsson right off a draw. Walked down Main Street and buried it behind Shilov's. But that's been the only Edmonton goal. The Oilers are 0 for 4 on the power play tonight, including 20 minutes left in the preseason. The Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks, 3-1 our score. Vancouver with two first period goals, Hughes and Soucy. And then Arshdeep Baines made it 3-0 on the power play. Bouchard got one back in a 4-on-4 situation, but Edmonton failed to capitalize the subsequent 5-on-3 for 25 seconds, and its power play overall tonight 0 for 4. Jack and Bob with you live in our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth, and Jeff Skinner remains on a line with McDavid and Draisaitl as we begin the third period, and the Oilers pour into the offensive zone. Skinner looking to control at Coleman, Bouchard defensively. Carson Soucy unable to extract from the corner. It's Connor McDavid wheeling, couldn't jam one toward the net, and ultimately outfoxed for the puck by Tyler Myers. He's able to send it up the middle. Danton Heinen after. Then Draisaitl looked for the home run to McDavid. That glanced off his skate right to Skinner. Bouchard a pass into the feet of McDavid. And the Oilers continue to have problems in terms of just general timing and rhythm. The offensive cadence of their game at times lacking. They haven't had a shot on goal, Bob, in about 7 or 8 minutes of game action here. Opening minute gone by, third period. Elias Pettersson with the Canucks leading 3-1, shoots it in. Emberson and Nurse paired defensively. Pettersson threw on toward the net, deflected out to Roenick. Centering pass to Sprong from DeBrusque, broken up by an alert Darnell Nurse. Nugent Hopkins now playing on a line with Arvidsson and Hyman on his wings. Will send it up the middle for Darnell Nurse. Right side, Emberson. He'll put it behind the net. Nurse tried to tuck it in front, broken up by Roenick, and then Nurse collided with Zach Hyman. It's cleared out. Center ice, Pettersson. Drop pass, Hughes. Through a screen, elects not to pull the trigger, and then bumps it back. From the top, it's Forbert. A backhander, a save on Sprong by Skinner. Stretches out, keeps the rebound out as well. And Arvidsson emerges from the fray with a right wing lead pass for Zach Hyman. Drops to Arvidsson, a shot and a save made by Shilovs. And that's the first shot in nearly 10 minutes for the Oilers. Shilovs with 19 saves, and Vancouver a 3-1 lead with 18 minutes to play.
Yeah, you said it. Right now, you know what it looks like? I'll use a football analogy. The Oilers right now look like they've got a new offensive coordinator, and the team doesn't really understand the scheme of the offense yet. There's not very little synchronicity, and again, of note, they've played a lot of the same lines through practice. So it's not like guys never played with one another, then you went to the final game of the preseason and started playing with what you thought your lines might be.
Big hit by Sherwood on Brown. He's been noticeably active as he was on Monday in Edmonton.
Yeah.
He's a nice ad for for Vancouver from Nashville. He can get you double-digit goals, a disruptor, and certainly a guy in your bottom six that not only can contribute, but can make life difficult for the opposition. And his harassment of Stetcher leads directly to an icing call. Well, Stetcher feeling the pressure.
As we know, Dakota Joshua really sort of emerged last season as a pretty good player.
And he's being treated for testicular cancer right now. Had a great offensive season. And Sherwood, his arrival is so key in light of the fact that you don't know when Joshua will be back.
And that's another part of Edmonton's forward group. They don't really have that.
Well, and they've got Hugh Suter, too. Suter is not in the lineup tonight. He's a hard-nosed player in your bottom six, Bob. And he's a guy that can elevate if he needs to. Hughes shoots wide. He's played with good players before, and now a long shot taken by Roenick and a save made by Skinner. Vancouver will not be an easy out this year in the Pacific Division. Vegas certainly a contender to make the postseason again. Drive by Roenick. Skinner, heavy traffic. I'm not sure he even saw that puck as it collided off traffic in front. Roenick put it down low for Omo. Tried to slither a pass inside, broken up by Adam Henrique. Hughes gives way to Baines, who has a power play goal tonight, but here he fans, and Henrique. The quick breakout to Janmark with Connor Brown. Over the line, Brown. Circling, centering, shot, and a save made. What a chance for Noah Philp. And Shilovs stops him again on the rebound. Noah Philp, two good looks from the left circle. Vancouver's down a stick here. Ekholm across to Bouchard. Ekholm steps up, left wing slapper, and a save made by Shilovs as Philp came on to join Corey Perry and immediately got two excellent scoring chances. He had one in the first as well, did not hit the net. This time, Shilovs equaled the task.
Yeah, he got a lot on it. Got a good look there. Had the two opportunities against Seattle in the third period as well.
Face off to Shilov's right-hand side. McDavid and Draisaitl back out there together. And this time, Jeff Skinner off the face-off. Chased after the puck, but Besser was able to clear successfully. McDavid up to Ekholm. Soucy defending that blue line for Vancouver and doing it well, forcing Bouchard back to his own blue line. Flipped in by Draisaitl from the left wing. He's immediately cut off by Myers. And now Soucy will fire a pass that's broken up by Bouchard, but Heinen's second effort muscles it out of the zone, and it's shot wide by Besser from center ice. That fooled Skinner. And that low dipper just missed the net after getting underneath Skinner's glove. Pettersson will shovel it down low. Besser centering pass intercepted by Bouchard. Am I overreacting there, Bob? That almost went in. Lead pass, Draisaitl, right wing. Walks, dishes, off a skate, off the pads of Sheilov. Second effort stopped. Third effort, Emberson. Going to pull the trigger right circle. Then a wild pass into the corner is tapped out by Daniel Sprong. Nearly 5 minutes gone by in this third period. But Colson on the ice with Perry and Philp. That line remains intact. Philp centering. Perry to Podkolzin. Philp on the puck. Tried to sneak one through to Podkolzin. Broken up. And off the giveaway, a clear for Derek Forbert. Sprong forechecking against Emberson. Philp on the puck for Edmonton. Dangerous move to the middle of his own ice, but Podkolzin was able to turn and clear. However, that pass put Podkolzin in a tough spot, and it turns into an icing call with 14:44 to play in the third period, and Vancouver holding a 3-1 lead.
Noah Philp's in the right spots defensively, Jack. There's been a couple times where maybe he's tried to do a bit too much.
In his own end?
Yep, just needs to, put it in the hands of a defenseman. And you got to win draws, and tonight Noah hasn't won draws.
Ratu wins the faceoff, shot by Roenick, kick save made by Stuart Skinner. Rebound, Ratu fully engaged with Emberson. Philp came over, one-handed it up to Corey Perry, and a backhand flip off a glove back to center, and Philp will race across the line. A shot toward the net, kicked out by Sheilov. So rebound that's handled by Ratu up through center. Quinn Hughes skating, trying to get around Philp, and he sent him flying into the corner with an abrupt stop. Then when he tried to go rink wide, Troy Stetcher picked it off, and it's 3-on-2 for Edmonton. Philp jumps up, gives it to Zach Hyman. He'll take it behind the net, defended by Hughes. Lays it off to Arvidsson, but Hughes read that play, picked it off, and shoveled it calmly back to center. Kulak and Stetcher will trade the puck at their own blue line. Stetcher rolls it ahead, out of the reach of Hyman. Roenick fires it up the boards. Kulak settled it down. Roenick cuts it off down low. Pried loose by Zach Hyman. Centering pass broken up. Ended up on the stick of Baines, and he'll clear up the right-hand boards. 13.5 left in regulation. Vancouver 3, Edmonton 1. Hughes, Soucy, and Baines for the Canucks. Evan Bouchard with the only goal for Edmonton. A dump-in knocked down by Sheilov. Nugent Hopkins to Hyman, and then a shot for Arvidsson, stopped by Sheilov, who misplayed that puck originally behind his own net and had to push hard off his right skate to make a save at the near post on Victor Arvidsson after Hyman had kept the play alive in the slot. 13:19 to play in regulation, and Vancouver owns a 2-goal lead on home ice here at Rogers Arena in Victoria, BC. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the preseason finale. The Oilers Radio Network. 13:19 to play in the third period. Vancouver a 3-1 lead. Janmark, Henrique, and Brown out for the Oilers. Ekholm and Bouchard. Oilers will open at home for the 34th time in 45 NHL seasons, and they'll do so against the Winnipeg Jets. We'll have it for you at 8 o'clock. Cam Moon, Bob Stauffer. We'll have the entire month of October for you on 880 Ched. And yes, note the 880. JT Miller over the line. Brock Besser, a left-wing one-timer that sails harmlessly wide. Rebound punch forward to Connor Brown. He'll pull up top of the left circle against Forbert. Tried to find a trailing Bouchard, but the puck hopped over his stick. And the Oilers have seen a lot of that tonight. Just
not sharp.
Yes. Emberson settles back in his own zone. Darnell Nurse up to center. Roenick cut it off. Forced Edmonton back into its own end. Emberson with a drop-off.
Needed some help from his partner there.
Yeah, didn't get it. Flicked down low by Jake DeBrusk. Here's Pettersson protecting against Ty Emberson. Want to remind everyone tonight's Oiler 50-50 presented by Rogers in support of Every Kid Deserves a Shot. And that's shaping the futures of kids across oil country through the transformative power of hockey. Oilers reset. Stetcher will carry it out. Our October bonus jackpot up to $129,000 as part of that Oilers 50-50. Stetcher, right-hand side, flung back the other way by Myers, and now breaking loose is Höglander. Centers, one-timer, and that was just wide. What a setup for Jake DeBrusk. Just missed the net. Sherwood then tried to find him. Excuse me, that was Ratu, not DeBrusk. Ratu. Unable to bury it. Ratu, one of his 2 NHL goals was against the Canucks as a member of the New York Islanders, and then he came over on that Bo Horvat deal. Now, Skinner had pushed across. He might have stopped that shot even had it been on target. Now, Ratu against Noah Philp to the right side of Stuart Skinner with 11:23 to play in the third period. Canucks by 2. Led 2-0 after 1, 3-1 after 2, and that's our score. Myers creates space for Sherwood. That high riser off the left shoulder of Skinner from the right half boards. Pretty good shot considering the angle. And now redirected behind the net for Troy Stetcher of Edmonton. Hand pass whistled against Soucy to Sherwood with 11:01 to go in this third period. Oilers and the Jets, and looking ahead to that matchup, I mean, Winnipeg's got a 52-win team coming back. Connor Hellebuck, even though he's played poorly the last 2 Stanley Cup playoffs, he's been one of the best regular season goaltenders in the league for coming up on a decade now.
Yeah, well, give him fewer starts.
That won't be a gimme. Face-off win for Nugent Hopkins. Blasted in by Brett Kulak. Soucy turns and gives way to Teddy Bluger. Rick Tocchet won the Jack Adams last year as Coach of the Year in the National Hockey League, deservedly so. No one had Vancouver winning the division, 109 points. Lead pass Arvidsson, left-hand side. Hyman on his backhand turns it to the forehand, and a tough save made by Shelovs. And he was able to cover that rebound just before Nugent Hopkins, who grew up about 20 minutes from here, could tuck it home on the rebound.
That's a good net drive there by Hyman.
And Arvidsson.
Well, Arvidsson's been fine.
Yeah, Arvidsson has been in the right spot. And I think that net drive by Arvidsson allowed Hyman to have only one man on him. There was no rotation over because he had to respect Arvidsson.
Wheeled around Vinny Desharnais.
Was able to pop it over to his forehand, only to be denied by Shelovs, who's had a good game tonight. Off the draw, Ekholm's shot redirected wide of Shelovs. The only man to beat him, Evan Bouchard, and he was completely untouched. Coming down the slot, had no chance as Vancouver. Poor rotation off a lost faceoff. Flipped out by the Canucks, settled by Ekholm in his own zone as we come up on the midway point of this third period. 3-1 Canucks. Connor Brown puts it behind the Vancouver defense. Forbert off to J.T. Miller, and I think Janmark's going to get an offensive holding call here. About 185 feet from his own net. Janmark remarking on the dubious nature of that penalty to referee Cody Beach, but it's a delayed call, and the Canucks will send it in deep. Pedersen out-touched by Bouchard, and now the Canucks will go to the power play with 9:38 left to play in a third period in which Vancouver already leads by 2 goals. Now a power play. Janmark to the box for holding at 10:22. 3-1 Vancouver, third period, Rogers Arena preseason finale. Fort Oilers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. 3-1 Canucks lead, 9.5 to play, third period, and now Vancouver on a power play. Noah Philp off the draw. Nurse bangs it up the left-hand side, and now Philp's going to have a shorthanded chance with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Centers Nugent Hopkins pushed it just wide. Good setup from Philp. Canucks bring it the other way, right to left. This a Napa Auto Parts penalty kill. Vancouver 1 for 2 on the power play, and a miscommunication chases Jake DeBrusk back into his own end to collect. Philp and Nugent Hopkins depart, replaced by Brown and Adam Henry. Ekholm and Kulak round out the Napa Auto Parts penalty-killing foursome. Pedersen will swing it around the boards. DeBrusque will pin it from out of the right corner. He's able to nudge it in front, but eventually Ekholm able to take over and rifle one up the left-hand glass and out. 8:45 to play third period. Canucks have led all the way. Goal midway through the first period by Quinn Hughes. 7 minutes later, Carson Soucy. 2-0 Vancouver after one. Bouchard the only man to score for Edmonton. Wired high and wide by Höglander off the rush. And that clattered off the glass and all the way down the ice. 45 seconds left in the penalty to Janmark. Arshdeep Bains has the lone Vancouver power play goal. That made it 3-0 midway through the second period before Bouchard finally got the Oilers on the board 4-on-4. Roenick, an errant pass from Danton Heinen will chase him back to center. Podkolzin and Arvidsson have come on shorthanded with Nurse and Emberson. Höglander into the zone, left-hand side. Daniel Sprong takes it behind the net. Sprong has really blossomed the last couple of years offensively. A giveaway by Roenick. Good read by Podkolzin, disrupting for Arvidsson. Flipped it back to Podkolzin through one man, circling behind the net, looking for a teammate. Eventually locates Arvidsson for a slap shot, blocked up top by Höglander. Podkolzin right back on it. There's your two best forwards tonight. Yeah. Bob, you've said it all night. Here's Bouchard, long shot, and an easy save made by Shelovs as the Oilers come back at full strength, trailing 3-1 with 7:29 left in regulation. McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman fresh off the successful kill.
Podkolzin had a good first. Arvidsson a good second. Phillips having a good third. He's created a couple chances, got a good shot on goal, and
made a nice play on the PK to Nugent Hopkins. Yep. Hyman clogs up against Tyler Myers. Finds McDavid, left circle, loading up. Whistles it across to Bouchard. A brief bobble by Ekholm, but his second effort lunge kept the play in the offensive zone, only to see Hyman have it wrestled free by Myers. Recovered by McDavid at center, punched ahead for Ekholm down the slot. Ekholm, indecisive, did not shoot nor pass, and eventually it was cleared by Soucy ahead to Sherwood and bumped back into the Oilers zone. McDavid and Draisaitl remain on the ice. Now coming on is Corey Perry. Lead pass to Heinen is a misfire from Forbert, and that will be an icing call against the Canucks. Matters not, simply because Draisaitl and McDavid were at the end of their shift. So they'll depart, and Perry will now be joined by Filt and Skinner.
Well, but Podkolzin, as you know, just came off the ice on the PK.
Right. But, I mean, you could have had Skinner
this guy's
next up instead of
Miller is a 57% man on faceoffs. He is
and
really
won it. Cleared by Forbert up the left-hand side. Canucks will hem the Oilers in. Philp comes down low to help out Kulak. Digs it out from behind the net and starts the rush up the left-hand side with Skinner alongside. Philp chipping and charging behind the net. Corey Perry gives it back to Philp. Feathered back to Perry, and now Kulak left wing. Sent it deliberately off the end board. Shelovs was ready for that maneuver. Put it in the corner, but Philp was there. Philp had his pocket picked, however, and J.T. Miller able to clear. Now Besser from Heinen will shoot from distance. Easy save for Stuart Skinner. Vancouver completes a line change as a preseason wave has gone up here at Rogers Arena. 3-1 Canucks. Oilers beat Vancouver in 7 games last year in the second round. We'll wave off icing here. Skinner controls. Nurse through Emberson. Up the right-hand side. Touched back to Connor Brown by Matthias Janmark, who now receives a pass. Cuts in from the slot. Couldn't get a shot away, and it ultimately trickled into the corner. Janmark threw it across. Darnell Nurse, right circle. His shot pinballed off the body in front. Behind the net. Henry around to Emberson. Back down low. This time Enrique let it go through, and Nurse shoots into the waiting glove of Shilovs with 5:13 to play in the third period. The score remaining 3-1 in favor of Vancouver. Evan Bouchard, the game's only goal for the Oilers, who've outshot the Canucks 27-22, but trailed by a deuce. When we come back, the final 5 minutes, 13 seconds of the 2024 preseason from Vancouver, the Oilers Radio Network. Oilers send out Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman for a face-off to Shilov's right-hand side. This may be their last preseason shift. With 5 and change to play, Draisaitl off the draw, booted it back to Bouchard. Off-balance shot, Ekholm. Deflected, traffic in front, and eventually Baines is able to stagger his way up the center and shovel it into the Oilers zone.
I got Soucy. Looks like him in right hand.
Ekholm up the right-hand side. Myers defending. Forbert racing over. Up the boards, Baines, decent play off the wall, but McDavid did well to hold the zone. Now a reverse pop by Draisaitl on Forbert creates space for Ekholm. Up top to Bouchard, his shot deflected. Hyman first on the puck for Edmonton, rolls inside, left circle, did not get a shot away. Baines, another determined clearing attempt, but Bouchard this time holding it in before once again Baines, who's having a strong shift, muscled the puck out, and Edmonton forced into full retreat with 4:20 remaining. But Colson, Arvidsson, and Nugent-Hopkins now on the ice. Arvidsson, lead pass. That's going to be intercepted. Not cleared by Hughes, though. Nugent-Hopkins stepped up, but he had his pocket picked, and Sherwood was able to clear up the left-hand side with Kulak resetting.
Sorry, Jack. Stuff that was being called in the first. It's not getting called right now. We've had a lot of Cody Beach in the preseason, too, Jack.
I thought you wanted to get out of here.
Yeah.
Here's Desharnais.
I'm just saying, they're not calling anything.
Off to Quinn Hughes, up the left-hand side, Troy Stecher. And offside as Colson was in the zone. Stecher rushed in, and now he and Höglander come together in the corner and exchange pleasantries. 3:34 to play in the third period. This will be a face-off in the neutral zone. And the way the whistles have gone here, likely we'll see McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman one more time. Edmonton, 16-game and an 8-game winning streak last year. That regular season opener against Winnipeg, the Jets also set a club record with their 8-game winning streak. Of course, the Oilers' record of 16 obliterated the previous club record and was one off the league mark held by the Penguins of 93. Sent in deep by Edmonton. Brown had his helmet popped off, so he'll have to come off. Meantime, Danton Heinen sends it spinning out of the zone, knocked down by Nurse, but picked up by Besser inside the Edmonton line. So there was a pass, quick shot hammered wide by J.T. Miller, who had 37 goals a year ago. Finds Quinn Hughes, left circle toward the net. Backhander kick save made by Skinner. Maybe one of his best of the entire evening, and Zach Hyman back on the ice will dump it in. McDavid and Draisaitl follow up on the forecheck. Elias Pettersson biding his time, sending it inside the Edmonton blue line. Now Bouchard to the middle of the ice, Ekholm. Draisaitl, Bouchard from distance, and an easy save recorded by Shilovs with 2:33 to play in the final period. And our score, Vancouver 3 and Edmonton 1.
You're going to see, I would pull Skinner here. Go for it.
Well, you might as well practice these scenarios.
Yeah. I don't think Steno's there. Now he's getting a wave.
Jets, of course, were the second-place team in the Central last year, finishing behind Dallas, but had home ice against Colorado. Won the first game 7-6, and that proved to be a harbinger of bad things to come for Connor Hellebuck. He gave up 28 goals in 5 games in the series. Colorado won the next 4. Oilers with a net empty. Go 6-on-5. McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, and Bouchard up top. Down low, you've got Hyman, the net front presence. McDavid can't get it to him. Stolen away. Jake DeBrusk calmly chips it off the boards and up the left-hand side. Arvidsson and Draisaitl, the two other skaters on the ice. McDavid walks in left to right. Hands to Arvidsson. Bump back to McDavid. Around the boards to Draisaitl on the right half wall. Bouchard right point with 2 minutes to go. Has it picked off by Pettersson. Sprong. DeBrusk. Empty net. Scores. Left post, right post, and in. Jake DeBrusk, his third of the preseason, will salt away the verdict. 4-1 Vancouver with 1:55 left.
Well, that play perhaps symptomatic of the Oilers' challenges with puck maintenance in this game. Soft turnover just inside the Vancouver zone and easy transition up the ice. Empty netter for Jake.
Pettersson and Sprong with the helpers. And Vancouver will finish its preseason at 3-2-1. The Oilers will drop to 3-5. Having lost a pair of Pacific Division games this week, 6-2 and 4-1. And again, that's been so vital in Edmonton's success over the last 3 years. Here's a steal by Höglander, and then he got popped by Podkolzin. Shook it off, got it to keeper Sherwood, who circles behind the Edmonton net. Pulls up top of the left circle, kicked it back, Soucy from distance, and a calm glove save made by Skinner, who saw that coming all the way with 1:19 left third period. 4-1 Vancouver. That 7-game series, easy to forget. I mean, Edmonton asserted itself early, led 4-1 late in the second period, and you thought, okay, this is what we expected all season long. But the Canucks rallied to make it a 5-4 win, and that turned a series into potentially, instead of a 5-gamer, to a 7-gamer in a hurry.
Well, Draisaitl got hurt in that game too, remember?
Yep.
Came out for about half the game.
That altered the complexion of that game, and as it turned out, the series. Baines right-hand side. Nurse, you thought it might have unsettled the group a little bit not to have Draisaitl on the bench. Here's Desharnais against Adam Henry. Arshdeep Baines, well defended by Nurse at center. He'll slug it back inside the Vancouver line. Final minute, third period. Final minute, preseason. Regular season opener, Wednesday night. Cam Moon, Bob Stauffer will have it for you on 880 Ched. 880 Ched, I repeat. And that'll be an 8 o'clock start at Rogers Place as the Oilers begin their 45th season in the National Hockey League. Bounced around. 52nd season overall. Perry behind the net. Perry looking, firing. And that ends up in the corner. Around the boards. Perry, Podkolzin, shot snared at the horn by Shelovs, and that'll be all. 4-1, your final score. The preseason complete. The Canucks outshot by a count of 30-26, but Archer Shelovs, who with Demko's injury status uncertain, will likely share the duties with Kevin Lankinen, another ex-Nashville Predator, to start the year. No timetable really set for Demko's return. It's a muscular situation, so it's not something that can be surgically repaired in his knee. It's a rare injury. Demko has talked about it at length. But
6:35 a.m.
Alarm set for 6:35 a.m. tomorrow.
Month until Demko is ready to get back. Meanwhile, the Oilers 3-5 in the preseason. Are they ready?
Lackluster. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt and think that, you know, they all came into town real early last year. Captain skates in September and limited the amount of, you know, Matthias Ekholm didn't play any games in the preseason last year. Connor didn't play a lot, and he elected to play 5 games in this preseason to get it going. But
Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins played 4. Ekholm, Bouchard.
I didn't sense that they ever really pushed it at any point, that they got outside of a comfort zone. So the best thing that we can say about tonight's game is the preseason is over. Jack, let's get going. Start the regular season Wednesday night against Winnipeg.
Well, give me a look at that matchup. You and Cam will have the call.
Yeah, you and Louis and Gene Principe will be on NHL Hockey and Rogers and Sportsnet. And from my perspective, I mean, I got a lot of respect for Winnipeg. I know there's some people that think they've got to downgrade a bit talent. I don't see that. I think they're right there. They are in the pool of death in that division. You look at, I mean, realistically, Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, Nashville
are all locks.
And then I think Arizona could knock out a team like
Utah.
Sorry, Utah, yes. Oh, it's early yet.
I'm just trying to coach you.
I know. Well, yeah,
I'm not going to see you for a month, so I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep you on the straight and narrow.
Bottom line is the Oilers have got to play a heck of a lot better and get going here, and I expect them to be able to wrap it up. So they've got an older team. We know that maybe they don't have the younger legs that you wish at times. But that veteran presence, you know how to get going. And I expect them to be going Wednesday against a talented Winnipeg team that can score. They've got some special players up front like Scheifele, obviously, that's a given. Nikolai Ehlers, he's always been a bit of an Oilers killer. Kyle Connor. It wasn't close, the game that was played in Winnipeg. You fortunately didn't have to go there for that.
That was a 6-1. That was Winnipeg's NHLers against Edmonton's AHLers. But bottom line is, as you said, preseason complete. Bob, it's been a pleasure working with you. We'll see you in November. I know you'll enjoy the month off, but we also
the month away from you, not the month off. Yes,
I'll enjoy the postseason run with you when the Edmonton Oilers inevitably make their way through this 82-game gauntlet, which begins on Wednesday night. Cam and Bob will have the play-by-play. It's an 8 o'clock start again. It's on 880 Ched. A little bit of a shift there as part of the Oilers radio network, but it'll be an easy transition for you and a powerhouse 50,000-watt station all year long with the coverage. Vancouver improves to 3-2-1 in the preseason. They split with Edmonton, Seattle, and Calgary after losing a shootout Monday night at Rogers Place. They come back to win the rematch 4-1 at Rogers Arena tonight. Evan Bouchard, the only man to score for Edmonton. Stuart Skinner finishes his preseason with 22 saves on 25 shots, so right in line with his save percentage of .880 coming in. During this preseason, he won 36 in the regular season a year ago, and for the first time in his NHL career, he will be the opening night starter for the Edmonton Oilers. Remember, each of the prior 2 seasons, Jack Campbell was your opening night starter. Artur Shilovs looks to be the opening night starter for Vancouver with Thatcher Demko unavailable. He stopped 29 of 30 Edmonton shots tonight as the Oilers conclude their preseason with a record of 3 up and 5 down. Wednesday night, regular season opener at Rogers Place. Until then, for Bob Stauffer, Bryn Griffiths, Rob Brown, this is Jack Michaels saying good night from Vancouver's Rogers Arena. The final score, Canucks 4, the Oilers 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the pleasure was all ours. The Rogers postgame show starts right now.
Exclusive live interviews.